I have no words. I'm about to spoil one of the best episodes of Breaking Bad so far this season. So if you haven't seen episode 11, season 5 of Breaking Bad, I'd say come back. This is one of the greatest things ever. The episode opens up with Todd at a diner with his Nazi friends, and I think one of them is his uncle, and he's reminiscing about the train heist with him and Jesse, and he just is talking about it like he's so proud of robbing the train and how everything went off perfectly, but he forgets one fatal detail, that he fucking shot a kid and the kid's dead, and he just forgot to mention that, but he's all like laughing. He's like, the greatest thing. It was so intense and they barely got away with it, and his uncle Nazi friends are just laughing. That's like the main opening, but I think him and the Nazi people and the gang and Lydia are setting up to be the main bad people. I don't know why, I just have a feeling, because we've been seeing Lydia and Todd. Nothing's been really happening with them, like no major plot points yet, but I think over the next couple episodes we will be seeing them, and I think they're going to be the force to take on Walt, maybe even Jesse, perhaps even Hank. That's what I think is going to go down with them. Then we go back to the police station where Jesse was just in a daze. He wasn't paying attention to these police officers at all. He wasn't thinking about them. He wasn't worried about them. And then Hank comes in. He tries desperately to get any info out of Jesse. He explains that he knows who Heisenberg is. He knows that it's his brother-in-law. Jesse just turns and looks, and he won't spill anything, even though Hank said that he doesn't care about Jesse anymore. He just wants info on how to take down Walt. And I'm surprised Jesse didn't say anything about Walt, because he would be able to get away scot-free for doing all these drug activities and turn in someone that he fears, Walt. Then it's back to Walt's house. Walt Jr. comes home and says that Marie needs help fixing her computer. He's telling this to Walt, and Walt is just like, he knows what Marie is trying to do. He's trying to get Walt Jr. over to her house for protection from Walt. Walt sits down Walt Jr. / Flynn and explains that his cancer is back, and he manipulates Walt Jr. to stay home with the truth. It's true that his cancer is back, but he uses that against Walt Jr. and against Marie and Hank, and that's just crazy. I don't know what is going to happen when Walt Jr. finds out who Walt really is, that he's Heisenberg, that he's been making drugs this whole time. And I wonder if he will ever find out, but I hope he does. That'd be insane. Then we see Skyler and Walt making a confession video, and I actually thought it was a real confession that maybe Walt would turn into the police. But as we see later in the Mexican scene restaurant, the awkward stand-down showdown where Hank is just giving the death stare, Marie is pissed, Skyler seems sad and worried, and Walt is just calm as a cucumber. He just wants to get the situation sorted out. There is no forgiving Walt on Hank's part. Hank will not let up until he convicts Walt and puts him behind bars. And if Walt commits suicide, Hank believes that he's getting off easy, even though Marie just flat out tells him, you should just kill yourself. You've done so much damage to this family, just kill yourself. So Walt sees that this is going nowhere, so he gets up, and before he walks out with Skyler, he hands over the DVD of his confession to Hank. I actually thought at this point Walt was giving the power to Hank to see the confession video and decide for himself whether to hand it into the police and give up his family and his job to put Walt in jail, or just pretend nothing happened, just do nothing. And as we see when Hank and Marie are watching the video, I saw none of this coming. I was in awe the whole time the video was shown. Walt just goes full on acting, saying that Hank was the real mastermind behind everything. He was the drug lord, and saying that he fears for his life. Walt does. He only did this because he had cancer, wanted to provide financial stability for his family when he was gone, and that he fears for his life now and fears for his family, And he brings up the time when Marie and Hank had Walt Jr. and the baby for 3 months, which is genius, and also that Hank punched him in the face, which is true, but not in the right context. Just everything he says made sense, except for one part where Walt was explaining that he paid for Hank's bills. If Hank was the real drug lord, wouldn't you think that Hank had enough money to pay for his doctor bills and not Walt? That's the only little problem I had with the confession video, but everything was just perfectly well executed on Walt's part. This is just half of the episode. I thought this was close to the end of the episode, but we get more, and Jesse and Saul are waiting in the desert for Walt, and Walt arrives, and we see that Walt doesn't care about anything about Saul. He doesn't care what he has to say. He just wants Saul to take orders, and he tells Saul to take a walk while him and Jesse talk. Walt tries to persuade Jesse to leave town, start a new life, maybe have some kids, but Jesse isn't having it anymore. He's done. He's tired of the bullshit. He calls Walt out and says, just stop lying to me. Just tell me the truth. Tell me that you're giving me a way out so you don't have to kill me. Walt says nothing, just walks over and ends up giving Jesse a hug. Jesse bursts out crying, and I felt so sorry for Jesse in this scene. It was so emotional. So Jesse takes Walt's offer and decides to go to Alaska. Saul sets everything up with the vacuum guy, and he hands Jesse a Hello Kitty cell phone and says, if he doesn't show up, call me. And then Jesse decides to light up a joint in Saul's office, and Saul's like, what the hell are you doing? This guy won't take you if you're high. So Jesse puts out the cigarette and puts the weed back in his pocket. And as we see, when Jesse starts to leave, Huell just like brushes past him and says, excuse me. And the first time around you don't see it, I didn't see it at least, but Huell grabs the weed out of Jesse's pocket. But the second time around watching it, it's so clear. You think nothing of it the first time around, and you don't even see it. So Jesse's there waiting for someone to pick him up and take him to his new life, and he decides to get out his bag of weed and light up another joint. He can't seem to find it. It is not there. So he starts patting himself down all over. He doesn't find it, and he pulls out the pack of cigarettes. He's just staring at it, and then he just stops. 1,000 different switches in Jesse's head are going off at this point. I'm screaming at the TV. Jesse's figured it out. This is one of the biggest things to ever happen in Breaking Bad. He's figured out Walt has been lying to him this whole time. He's the one that poisoned Brock. He had Huell lift off the rice and cigarette from him, and Huell lifted off the weed just now. So he goes berserk. He goes back to Saul's office, busts in, and just starts kicking and punching him, saying, you tell me the truth. You lifted off the ricin from me. You did this. He starts crying and says, you did this for Mr. White. This was everything. Saul's just bleeding, and he admits that he did it. Once again, I'm just shocked and sad for Jesse. He's finding out another horrible thing that Walt has done to him. So Jesse just races to Walt's house. He just storms in, kicks down the door, and just starts pouring gasoline everywhere in his living room. And that's where the episode ends. I can't say enough wonderful things about this episode. Just give everyone in the cast an Emmy. This is why I watch TV. I am passionate about TV. These kind of episodes just suck me in. You feel the emotion, you feel the tense parts, and this is why I love TV so much. So what did you guys think about this episode, Confessions? Please leave a comment below. But other than that, that's my review. Perfect episode in my opinion. How are they gonna do anything in the next 5 episodes? It's gonna be just nonsense. And I don't know what else to say. I'll see you guys later.